So Craigslist Joe is about a movie, a documentary, if you will, about a guy named Joe who's testing the compassion and generosity of all other Americans, technically, by relying solely on Craigslist in order for him to survive the next 30 days out in the world. I gotta say, right off the bat, I felt like this is an experiment that could have been done one of two ways. Like, if there were one, to me, it felt like there should have been an extra challenge. Like, not only just survive, but like get to a certain A to B, or like raise a certain amount, just something, because the first premise alone was just 30 days I need to survive out in the world using solely Craigslist, bringing only with him his passport, computer, backpack, toothbrush, and a brand new cell phone, which he can't contact family and friends with. And throughout this movie, he travels he starts off in California, he travels north, up to about Oregon or Washington, and then he travels east all the way to New York City, and then south to about Florida, New Orleans, and then he travels back west. So within 30 days, he pretty much just went the entire rectangular outline of the United States. First time I saw this movie, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really interesting how he really kind of explored how, when push comes to shove, yes, humanity can and will go that extra mile for others. Although there were a few times I felt like a lot of what was happening was very forced, and I won't spoil it necessarily, but you'll probably figure it out too if you watch it. The guy Joe himself seems like he's a pretty nice guy. He got really genuinely touched at a few areas in this. In some minor spoilers, there was an Iraqi family that took him in, and they were explaining how, even though they came to this country legally, and the father is a very hardworking man, their son goes to a youth center where I believe he volunteers there a lot of his time, and they're like, people still look at him as terrorists since 9/11. But and see, that to me right there, that's where it seems like it got forced. Like, there are a few parts in this where you're just like, okay, yeah. Like, there are a few parts in this where they're clearly, I think, going for that whole angle, like the whole, oh, that, okay. Like, with that whole thing, I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then there was he ended, like I said, he ended up in New Orleans, and then of course the whole Katrina thing came, so it's like, oh. So there were a lot of downer moments in this. Whether or not they were forced, I couldn't tell you exactly, but it's definitely trying to tell an interesting story of a guy using simply Craigslist to reach out to people, as for rides, places to stay, food, things to do in his spare time, like I don't know, just jamming out on a guitar, volunteer work, stuff like that. It was really interesting to see someone do something like that. Of course, a lot of it felt very reminiscent of when Morgan Spurlock did his show 30 Days. So it felt very similar to that. Overall, I felt this was a very interesting movie. One or two times I was kind of like, okay, I don't know why you had to throw that in there. That was kind of awkward. Definitely an interesting way to look at others and just basically see how different and diverse as people as we are. Like, a lot of people would assume America is just one person. This movie definitely opens up, and it really shows that it's a lot more. It's a lot more than that. I recommend it, watching it a couple times. After that, it really, for some reason, I tried watching it a third and a fourth time, and for some reason, I kept fast forwarding it through certain parts because it wasn't nearly as interesting. Because once you know what's going on, aside from that, the rest of the movie's kind of boring. So proceed at your own risk. If you like a story about a person that's learning something about humans, and human nature and reaching out to others. I highly recommend this movie. As a fan of documentaries, I'd say this is definitely not top 5, but definitely it's up there. It's on Netflix. You can read more about it on Craigslist itself, and I recommend it. I recommend giving it a check. It's a pretty good movie. I would probably say it's a rental, not one I would personally own. I think there are better documentaries out there. Maybe we'll get to them, maybe not. So that's my thought on this. Let me know what you think below. Suggestions for other future movies. Thank you all for watching. It's different to talk about a documentary, but I felt this one was really interesting because I use Craigslist all the time, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see people outside of that who are caring, and nice. It's nice to see the people that you're talking to essentially, and that was what sold me on this. So that's it for now. You all have a good one, and I will see you all next.